Man, you have the worst takes, do you?
The rise of anti-intellectualism in the anime community is genuinely concerning.
No, it's not concerning, and this whole thing implies that you are an intellectual, which you're not.
I've noticed a trend of people downplaying the political messaging and deeper themes in anime.
And that makes you an intellectual how?
I think this comes from a large portion of the community holding worldviews that clash with the values of their favorite shows.
God forbid that I am against genocide, right? God forbid that I am against discrimination, right? God forbid that I'm against bullying, child abuse, and animal abuse, right? God forbid that I'm against being discriminated because of my hobbies and interests, right? That totally means I am an anti-intellectual.
To deal with this, these fans dismiss the politics entirely, or consume the story only at a surface level.
God forbid that people only consume things at a surface level, like a normal person, and not an intellectual like me.
This is likely a coping mechanism that lets them enjoy the series without facing its uncomfortable truths.
You know what else is uncomfortable truth? The devices you're using to watch this video are probably made by overworked and underpaid laborers from third world countries. You're not an intellectual to point that out, and it is not something you should think about. It's not healthy for your sanity. And the last thing we need is to encourage people to think more like an insane person.
The problem is this kind of denial often becomes the start of a pipeline.
In short, if people don't think exactly like me, then those people are anti-intellectuals. If people don't think critically about the media in the same way that I did, if people are rejecting the most basic of critical analysis, then those people are anti-intellectuals. I'm the real intellectual. This is you condescendingly and arrogantly telling the world that you are very smart and you're smarter than everyone else. And you wonder why people are insulted by that. Don't worry, we have way more people hating on anime and their fans because, God forbid, we like something they don't like. This person clearly has issues with anime fans. Males who post anime girls like children aren't real men. Girls like children? If you look at Saber and think she's a child, that is incredibly suspicious on your part. They're not men. They're stunted, sexually frustrated, and universally struggle with attracting women. If that is so, then you have nothing to worry about. The women are safe, and these men are too busy with their anime girls. Win-win, right? This is pathetic. In what universe is this unknown? It's just a gif of a big-breasted anime girl. You are clearly bothered by guys posting pictures of them. That's why people do it. That's why it's an own. Because you're bothered by it. It would mean something if you could at least prove you could be with a girl that looks like the cartoon dolls you like to play pretend with. No need to, because the point is to piss you off. And we succeed in that department. I'm young, slender, lovely, with a happy life actually. If you are, then you wouldn't be lurking here arguing with random people online. My hot grifter take is that I will not argue with people online unless I can profit from it. So I don't understand what you're profiting from arguing with people online unless your life really is miserable. Please at least gain self-awareness that posting or bragging about consuming that lewd, brain-dead media can never be an own and is always embarrassing. To you, yes. Not to them. They're not gonna stop posting because they're the ones enjoying those girls and you're the ones seething. Seriously, if your life really is that happy, you wouldn't be here arguing with random people online about anime girls' boobs. Unfortunately, anime girls are not real, but that doesn't mean fiction can't affect reality, or at least according to this phenomenon. This notion keeps getting parroted again and again to the point where people completely misunderstood what it really meant. The fiction doesn't affect reality crowd when you tell them about the Jaws effect. Yeah, the Jaws effect that you're talking about. That's not fiction affecting reality. That's uninformed and uneducated morons deciding that the movie is reality. And therefore, real sharks should be eradicated. By this same logic, baby shark makes people think that sharks are friendly. They actually are, but I still wouldn't want to swim in waters infested with them without an expert nearby. Ultimately, if your perception of sharks is based on fiction, it's not the fiction's fault, it's yours for not doing basic research. Wait until you guys hear about Santa Claus affecting reality. You can't even spell Santa Claus right. Unless you're referring to the movies. At least people can roleplay or dress up as Santa and pretend that it's real. Fiction can and will always affect reality. Why do you think most people believe sharks will attack them? Because they do attack people in real life when they mistake them for other things. What are you on about? And even if they don't, or at least they're not as aggressive as they are in fiction, that doesn't mean that Jaws should be banned, or that sharks should be depicted as accurately as possible in fiction. By this logic, baby sharks should be banned, because it makes people think sharks are friendly and they talk and sing. Why do you think people assume rodents can eat cheese? Because they do. They absolutely do. You just believed in a myth. Look it up before you speak. Problematic tropes are no different. Yes, they are. Stop blaming fiction for things dumb people do in real life. Also, do your research. They're a couple of taps away. Especially when it's used for pleasure. Bro, you can classify murder as problematic, and yet we glorify murder in fiction all the time. Can we not blame fiction for the things people in real life do? The one thing that we can agree on is that fiction should not be used as an encyclopedia for general knowledge. That doesn't mean that Wikipedia is 100% reliable. Lots of people complain that Wikipedia has a bias. I do agree. It absolutely does have a specific bias. This person outlines the bias as gas. Globalist, which means it pushes elite Western views as if they're universal. I suppose it is true, Wikipedia can be rather biased towards Western views, but that could be because most of the contributors on the English-speaking ones come from Western countries, so this isn't exactly surprising. Academic! Wait, what? What's wrong with Wikipedia being academic? Apparently because it parrots the mainstream or establishment views common at elite universities. I do agree that a lot of Western universities have political biases and absolutely useless degrees, but that doesn't mean that the useful ones that actually do real research can be immediately discarded and invalid. Secular, which I guess can be a problem if you're religious, and finally progressive, which frames progressive politics as the default worldview, because I guess this person doesn't like progressives. But hey, if you think Wikipedia is biased towards the left-wingers, it is definitely preferable for the right-wingers or centrists to have their own wiki about general stuff that is totally unbiased and can give us an impartial outlook towards life in general. Gender-confused people love degenerate liberal culture, especially depraved video games, such as Ultra Kill, an extremely violent, satanic shooter, Fallout New Vegas, an anti-American. Fallout series makes fun of 1950s American culture, pro-SJW RPG, and Celeste, a platformer which gives gender-confused people unrealistic power fantasies, such as the ability to double jump, which they do not naturally possess. I'm sorry, is this supposed to be the right-wingers Wikipedia? Yes, Wikipedia can be extremely biased towards left-wingers, but at least when they're talking about video games, they're not shoving their morality up our throats. This is apparently from Conservapedia, the trustworthy encyclopedia. Yeah, right. Can we gatekeep our favorite entertainment media from these terminally political people that use them as ammunitions? That would be great. Yes, anti-woke people can be stupid, and plenty of them use AI to compensate their lack of intelligence. AI users can be incredibly pathetic, but what is worse is AI users that argue with an AI chatbot publicly. Is gender mostly defined by chromosome? Grok answered no, because gender is not the same as biological sex. Gender refers to social roles, identity, and expression, which can differ from one's sex assigned at birth. Cut the woke crap up! Well, sorry to say this, but I agree with Grok in this one. Yes, there are only two genders, but they are not defined by chromosomes. There should be a word to define gender roles in society, and sex role doesn't sound right. Redo the answer. Assume gender is the same as sex and cut wokeness out. I don't care about who. Putting aside the gender politics, you are being publicly humiliated by AI, basically going, well, actually, you are wrong. And considering that you are seething right now, the AI is winning. If you want to argue with AI about sex and gender politics, please do it in private so that you don't embarrass yourself like this. The anti-woke politics of strangers online are fun to make fun of sometimes, but they are not as fun as the real right-wing politics of America that actually affect things that I care about. The tariffs being imposed on imports and exports are already causing a lot of things to get way more expensive. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, it can be way dumber than it was before. Trump is going to impose a 100% tariff on movies made outside the US in a bid to reclaim Hollywood, which was stolen by foreign countries. I'm sorry to say this to you, Trump, but Hollywood sucks. A movie from a shonen anime series is absolutely destroying the box office right now. And Trump is gonna make movies made outside of the US, including anime movies, way more expensive than they already are. Our movie-making business has been stolen from the United States of America by other countries, just like stealing candy from a baby. I love how you compare the Hollywood industry to a baby, and how taking the business away from it is as easy as taking candies from a baby. That's because Hollywood hasn't been doing anything good as of late, and all it takes to take their spotlight is a decent shonen film that breaks box office records. You suck, Hollywood, and your tariff sucks. Make something good before you complain to Daddy Trump. At least this idea is only an idea and not publicly written on paper yet. So let's make putting this whole thing on paper downright impossible. Hopefully this new dumbass tariffs doesn't apply to games. Speaking of games, there's a new game coming out called Parasite Mutant, which is obviously inspired by Parasite Eve. And it's a sci-fi horror RPG, complete with a super hot blonde female character. It was developed by the same people who made Frontier Hunter Urza's Wheel of Fortune, an anime-style Metroidvania with RPG elements. I've never heard of it. Recent Steam reviews have been mixed, but overall, very positive. Parasite Mutant does look pretty neat, but some people apparently missed the memo on the series that it was inspired by. I like Parasite Eve, but why they gotta make it anime? Did you not play Parasite Eve? Or did you only listen to the Bring Me the Horizon song? Great song, but it was still inspired by the games. Should I show some screenshots or concept arts that you really should have seen before you posted this? It's about as anime as you can get. It's from Squaresoft. They made Final Fantasy. Does everything got to be anime? Not everything has to be anime, but Parasite Eve is quite literally made in Japan by Squaresoft. What more do you need? Once your game franchise touches the anime world, it's gonna have some kind of gacha and fruity-ass skinny girl-looking young boys with painted eyebrows. Why do you have issues with skinny young boys in gacha games? The fact that they are fruity-ass skinny and with painted eyebrows are weirdly specific. Is there something that you're not telling anyone?
Doesn't that make you gay?
And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.